In 1985, a group of musicians came together to raise awareness about the oppressive, racist government in South Africa. Organized by Steven Van Zandt, the group, calling themselves Artists United Against Apartheid, was, according to music critic Dave Marsh, the most diverse lineup of popular musicians ever assembled for a single session. And the list is pretty amazing. Just some of the names: Bono, George Clinton, Peter Gabriel, Lou Reed, Kurtis Blow, Miles Davis, Ringo Starr, David Ruffin, Joey Ramone, Run DMC, Keith Richards, Bruce Springsteen, Herbie Hancock, Bonnie Raitt, that dude from Midnight Oil, and the Fat Boys. They jointly refused to ever play at Sun City, a luxury resort in South Africa that symbolized the racial segregation of the country, and they released a protest album called Sun City to raise awareness. In this episode of Prisoners of Rock and Roll, we're diving into the history and impact of Artists United Against Apartheid. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Prisoners of Rock and Roll number 86. My name is Bruce Kramer. My co-host calls me the professor because all the books and podcasts and YouTube videos I go through to prepare for every show. Hey, I take this shit seriously. But if I'm the professor, the next man I'm about to introduce to you is the dean of the College of Rock and Roll Knowledge. Maybe he's the Bluto Blutarski. He's one of a kind, even though he has a twin brother. He's got a heart of gold and once wore a G.G. Allen shirt with a suit jacket while playing jazz music in a fancy restaurant. You know him, you love him, and if you don't, shame on you, the one and only Mr. Ryan McCusker.
Are you rocking? Yes.
It's going to get to some point I can't exceed what I do the week before, but I'm not there yet.
Oh, I forgot about the G.G. Allen shirt at the fucking jazz show I did. One guy came up to me. He's like, "You're really wearing a G.G. Allen while you're playing jazz." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, that's me. That's how diverse I am."
I love that your reaction that you just started dying laughing when I said that was amazing.
It's just one of the goofy things that I do in life, my friend.
That's why I love doing the show, brother. Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by Boldfoot Socks as well as McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia. And our show is proudly part of the family over at the Pantheon Podcast Network, the home for all of the awesome rock and roll podcasts. What's going on, man?
This summer is kick-ass, Bruce. I'm having a great time, man. I'm really having fun.
You really dial it up in the summer, man. It's awesome.
This is shows, man. There's all these concerts going on. I have to go to them.
Did you see anybody the last 2 weeks since last time we talked?
No, but this weekend, the 10th, the 11th of August, I'm going to upstate New York and go to Woodstock, New York, and I'm seeing Fish at Woodstock.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where the original site was. And
very cool.
There's going to be some kind of Woodstock festival going on for free. And then you got tickets to go see Fish at night.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I can't wait.
That's like history and some music at the same time.
It's like us.
Right. That's awesome. I'm so excited, man. We got a couple weeks till the Springsteen shows are coming up. I'm so excited to go see him.
Yes.
Cool, man. So again, you being the what I call you, the dean of the College of Rock and Roll Knowledge, you came up with another really good subject to talk about Sun City. And when you messaged me, I was like, I have to admit, I was like, I don't know anything about this. Let's do it. And
I remember it. I remember it going on. It was always on MTV, and it was like another We Are the World thing. But, you know, Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson's not in charge of this one. It was Little Steven. And you got Miles Davis to the Fat Boys.
Dude, and I have like a list of everybody that's on it. We can get to that, but yeah, how awesome is that? Like when I saw that quote, like this is the most diverse group of artists ever to record something, and I looked at it, I was like, holy shit, man! It is like there's rock and rollers, there's R&B guys, there's jazz, hip hop, really cool.
Everybody loves Little Steven. Like he gets on the phone, he calls everybody up, and it's like even so, like the people that got passed for "We Are the World," and like the people they would never even think, or bands or singers would never even think of having them.
I was thinking that when I heard that Miles Davis was on this, I was like, having like Miles or Louis Armstrong or somebody at We Are the World would have been pretty cool.
It would have been amazing if Louis Armstrong was on there because he was fucking dead.
Was he dead by 85? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, get your Ouija board out. Any of those. Okay, well, womp womp. The professor didn't do his research on that one. Okay, well, that's embarrassing. We'll leave that in now. It's fun. No, it's funny.
It took me a second, but yeah, he was dead by then.
When did Louis Armstrong die?
In the 70s.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, 1971. So he's dead like 15 years before this shit happened. Okay. Well.
Yeah, Miles is way younger than Louis Armstrong.
Okay. Well, any of those jazz guys, Herbie Hancock or
yeah.
I'm trying to recover here, but all right,
yeah,
so
you're not supposed to know everything. That's why I'm here too.
I went down to being the professor. I did a little bit of reading of like what was going on in South Africa and how effed up it was. Like, keep in mind, man, this shit ended in the mid 90s. Like we were like seniors in high school when this ended.
Still going on.
Africa is it's a very violent place now.
Mm.
But so I did a little bit of reading, and apartheid was basically like the white government there was an incredibly segregated country. And at the time when this happened, South Africa had 4.7 million white people and 23 million black people live there. The average income, white people earned about $8,000 a year. Black people earned $2,000 a year.
Jesus Christ.
Right. The unemployment rates, this is going to blow your mind. The white was 4%, and some of the black areas, it was 5%.
Wow.
Crazy. So I'll lead you up to Sun City. So Sun City was a luxury resort in a casino in South Africa, and it was in a Bantustan. And so what the hell was a Bantustan? A Bantustan was like a territory in South Africa that was set aside for black people. And it was created by the apartheid government. So basically the government would say, we're going to make this little neighborhood, and anybody who's this ethnic group, you have to go there. And if you don't want to, we're going to move your ass anyway. And so there was like 10 of them across South Africa. And it's so weird because if you look at maps of what they were, like there would be one for this certain ethnic group, but the neighborhoods didn't join each other. It would be like if there was a neighborhood for people in like Missouri, and then there was one in like New Jersey, and there was one in like Texas. It was all over the country, but it was like one area. Racist as shit. And of course, all of these areas didn't have any infrastructure, and they were like poor and all this other kind of stuff. So there were 10 of these all across Africa. 4 of them were declared like independent. So the government would move all these people in, and then they would say to the black people that live there, like, you can have your own government. And they kind of like, look, we're helping these black folk. We're going to let them have their own government. But they had no say over shit. Nobody in the world, like no other country recognized that they were a legit country. And it was illegal in these areas. So the laws were like, if you were black, you were not allowed to write a song that would piss off white people. You would go to jail.
Wow.
Sun City was a resort in one of these areas. And it was like maybe an hour and a half from Johannesburg. So it's like, it's really popular. But under the British government in South Africa, under the apartheid government, things like gambling and topless dancing was illegal. But the government was like, well, this casino isn't in South Africa. It's in this like quote unquote independent area run by these poor black folk. So we're going to allow them to have gambling and strippers and everything else. So it was like everybody in like all the white people in South Africa would go to this resort. Racist as fuck. It's crazy. So the 1960s, the United Nations is like, they call for a cultural boycott on South Africa. So they tell everybody like, dude, if you're a writer, don't release your books there. If you're like a soccer team from England, don't go there to play. Colleges, don't do research with like help from South Africa. Don't make movies there. Don't go on tour there if you're a musician. So this dude that opened this Sun City Hotel, he's like, if I want to get artists to play here, I'm just going to pay them a ton of money. So like they paid Sinatra $2 million to play a couple dates at this hotel.
No way.
Yeah. So this is really drag. Queen went and played there. Queen got paid $1 million. Some other artists who took money, the Beach Boys, Elton John, Cher, Rod Stewart, Olivia Newton-John, Linda Ronstadt. And Queen, I guess when Queen played there, like 1984, the British newspapers was giving them all kinds of crap. Like, what are you guys doing? And Brian May was like, "Hey man, we're not a political band. We just want to play music for people." I was like, "Well, no, dude, you got paid $1 million to go play."
He just had no idea what was going on,
or they just saw the paycheck,
yeah,
and wanted to go. So it's a really crappy place. And I guess little Steven kind of figured out what he heard about all this, and he's like, "I want to try to do something to change, and can rock and roll change things?" And he's like, "I think so." And I'll play this one song. He said he got the idea because he heard a song called Biko by Peter Gabriel. And Biko was like the last name of like a kind of a revolutionary dude in Africa who was trying to stop segregation and all this stuff. I'll play a little bit of that because I don't know the song.
Awesome.
So Peter Gabriel's always made kind of not weird. That's the wrong word. Eccentric music.
Like art, yeah, he's really artistic.
Yeah. So he was making this song. Peter Biko was a South African. He was a black dude. He was an anti-segregationist, and he died in police custody. So Peter Gabriel wrote this song about him, and then little Steven heard it. And little Steven was like, "We're going to try to do something to change." And I thought it was cool because little Steven was like, "I'm not trying to raise a ton of money like the We Are the World guys." He's like, "I want to change something." He's like, "I just don't want people to write a check. I want to raise awareness."
He went to South Africa and like got in the back of a Jeep and hid, and they took him deep in there, and he wanted to see what was going on himself. Imagine that. This guy basically from Freehold, New Jersey gives a damn about these people on the other end of the world. You know, Stevie's the man, dude.
If you don't know, little Steven is rhythm guitar player in Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Co-writer, also producer.
And he was a musician on his own before he joined Springsteen. And of course, he's an actor. He was in Lilyhammer and he was in The Sopranos. But what's interesting was he's not in the E Street Band when he does this. He had quit. Yeah. And he was out, and he has Springsteen on this album, which is really cool.
Yeah, he was right around Born in the USA. He was like, "I'm out. He had his reasons. Then he came up with this thing. He's like, "I want to make a difference in not like a paycheck, but I can people awareness, like give awareness that this is going on. Nobody knows that this is going on. I'm a celebrity. Everybody knows me from the Springsteen band. It's like he's somebody. He uses celebrityness, and right on MTV, he used television to broadcast this message that was going on. You know, like he totally used MTV.
It's cool because he wrote the song. Him and two other guys, they wrote the song, and it was a little bit right after We Are the World. But he's like, I don't want to talk about what it's like to live in these neighborhoods. Like, yeah, dude, it sucks. There's no infrastructure and there's no jobs. He's like, I want to call out the racist government that's causing the neighborhoods. So it's like like we said, we talked a little bit about in the We Are the World episode, like, yeah, dude, the famine was awful. But he's like, I want to talk about what's causing the famine. What's the government doing that's causing all this shit? So it's a way different approach. And when the song was done, little Steven just busted out his Rolodex of a rock and roll guy. And he just starts calling everybody. The one dude he didn't call was Bruce. He was like, I feel weird because I quit. And he's like, I don't want to take advantage of my friendship with him. And one of the other guys, it was like, they wrote the song with him called Springsteen. And he was like, of course I'll do it.
Bruce, don't forget, he understood. Little Steven wanted to do his own little thing. He dedicated his whole life to like Springsteen. And he was like, I could do something different. And I don't even think himself knew it was going to go political until he came across it.
Yeah. And Springsteen, looking at the list of all the dudes that appear on We Are the World and on this, Springsteen's one of the few guys that was on both of them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
There were more than 50 artists who performed on this, and it was like jazz, rock and roll, hip hop, funk, reggae, more. I have a whole bunch of. I wrote down the most notable ones, so I'll read. I'll read a couple, and then if you want to hear something, man, let's play it. So here are 5: Africa Bambaataa, Pat Benatar, Kurtis Blow, Bono, and Jackson Browne. It's a pretty diverse group.
Dude, Kurtis Blow. Holy shit. He was always talking about the truth in his music. And that's him and Bono in the same fucking song, in the same verse or whatever. You know, can we hear
Kurtis Blow did If I Ruled the World?
Let's hear it.
And every country built homes, not running a conference for the president. I'm just here to tell the world how the story went.
I don't know if we talked about Kurtis Blow before. He was the first like commercially successful hip hop artist, and Nas sampled that song in his version of "I Ruled the World," which that Nas album was like considered one of the best hip hop. I was just listening to that the other day. Yeah, and having him and Bono on the same track is really freaking cool.
Who else was there? Bambaataa?
Africa Bambaataa. I just said Pat Benatar, Bono, Jackson Browne. So we haven't talked about Jackson Browne in 86 shows. But
He's a hell of a songwriter, man. You don't even realize how many songs he's written.
I think he's one of the most like underrated, like classic rock dudes. You realize how much shit he wrote and how good he is.
Do you have like a song that sticks out in your head?
Running on Empty, man, is such a great
Forrest Gump soundtrack.
That is such a good driving down the shore in the summer song.
Great songwriter, American songwriting. You know, he wrote the first couple lines of Take It Easy by the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best American writing songs ever.
I agree. Totally agree.
How big was Pat Benatar when this fucking song came out? She was everywhere. And she was like perfect for MTV. She was a pretty girl, you know, she wore the spandex all the time and shit, you know. She had the awesome videos. But it's a drag. She don't play Hit Me With Your Best Shot anymore.
Yeah, she kind of gets, I don't know, man. I think she gets overlooked by Joan Jett a little bit, that same era coming up, but
she had a lot more hits than Joan Jett.
Yeah. All right, here's another group of artists on this. Jimmy Cliff, George Clinton, Bob Dylan, Peter Gabriel, and the Fat Boys.
Jesus Christ, Bob Dylan and the Fat Boys. That sounds like a tour right there.
And George Clinton with a Parliament Funkadelic.
Dude, you got to play some Parliament Funkadelic. All that first Snoop Dogg album is fucking Parliament Funkadelic. Oh, I saw Parliament Funkadelic live.
With Bootsy?
No, Bootsy was not there. But
Okay.
it was a guy wearing a fucking diaper on stage. These guys are fucking aliens in this band. You know, like George Clinton is just a crazy motherfucker, dude.
But man, I was just thinking as we're listening to that, it's like if we do an episode on them, how awesome it would be to listen to all this shit on the headphones.
Oh God, yeah. Let's put it in the Rolodex.
Yeah. I mean, how influential on hip hop music they were. Like you said, that whole Snoop Dogg album, which is
and some other, you know,
yeah,
all that 90s shit was all they like stopped taking James Brown songs to start taking Funkadelic songs.
Yeah, incredibly influential in music, and we haven't talked about them a lot either. And another group that we don't get a chance to talk about very much, so we have to take advantage of it, is the Fat Boys.
They were masters at the beatbox, yo.
They really were, and they were interracial because it was like two black dudes and a white guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is pretty amazing. For
they even made a movie.
They did. They had the Disorderlies. Oh
what
my
a
God.
great movie that is.
I don't know if I'd call it great, but
how did we miss that on our soundtrack episode?
I don't know, man. I don't know if we talked about them in our golden era of hip hop either. I think they're largely forgotten, but
what's on their Wikipedia? What do they have to say about them?
Together with Kurtis Blow and Run DMC, the Fat Boys helped take music mainstream. Okay. I get it. I can play a little bit. The Twist is their #1 song on Spotify. Let's check it out.
Wait a minute. The fucking Chuck Berry Twist? I remember this. Holy shit, I remember this. They were on MTV all the time, dude. They like crossed over. They were always on. Like Run DMC was always on MTV. They were always on MTV.
And I think they're largely forgotten now. Like, they're just written off as kind of like a joke.
Why aren't they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I don't know, man, because they were really influential.
They were in like people's living rooms. It was non-threatening, you know?
Yeah. The one dude, the white guy's dead. Mark Morales. Two of the guys are dead. Darren Robinson died too. Oh, he died at 28 years old. So there's only one guy left. And I don't know.
Well, at least we have the records.
Yep. All right. Here's another group of guys that were on here. Bob Geldorf. Bob Geldorf was in every frigging charity thing in the 80s, man. He really tried to save the world with rock and roll. He was like the Dave Grohl.
He was like the Dave Grohl of charity songs.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really involved in a whole. He did, of course, Do They Know It's Christmas Time? He was around at the We Are the World. He's around at this. So he's there. Hall & Oates, Darlene Love, Grandmaster Melly Mel, and Bonnie Raitt.
Hall & Oates. What a great band they were.
Man, how dysfunctional did they get?
I heard, now I'm starting a rumor here, that Daryl Hall punched John Oates in the face because he messed up his hair a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Or maybe it was like the whole Blue Eye Soul thing got him pissed off.
Okay.
Play Private Eyes. What a song that is. I wish I wrote that song. Who was on there? Melly Mel?
Yeah, Melly Mel, Darlene Love, Bonnie Raitt. We missed Bonnie Raitt when we talked about our women in rock and roll.
She's an amazing guitar player.
She really is.
They made the first woman guitar for her.
And she's been around for like 50 years making music. So she's really talented. Play a little bit about her because I have no idea how the hell we've never played a Bonnie Raitt clip on the show. But what could I play? Something to talk about. It's not my favorite song in the world, but
People are talking about people. I hear them whisper. You won't believe it. They think we're lovers, kept undercover. I'll just ignore it, but they keep saying we laugh just a little too loud, a little too stand just a little too close. We stand just a little too long. Maybe they're seeing something we don't, darling. Let's give them something to talk about.
I'm wrong. That's a good song.
I cannot hear that song and not think of Step Brothers. When Will Ferrell sitting there starts singing for the first time and he's like, "You're a great singer." He's like, "I know." Like it's a curse.
She sounds a lot like Sheryl Crow, like a more
Or Sheryl
little-
Crow sounds like her.
yes, absolutely, yes. I shouldn't have said that. That's the correct way to say that. Yeah, she's done a ton of like session work.
Oh yeah.
She's like one of the top tier female rock and roll artists.
She's a great slide guitar player, man.
Like bluesy, but not like too bluesy, like a poppy bluesy kind of sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think she really started as a downright blues gig,
Yeah.
but she became mainstream and crossed over.
There was one when I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they were showing like a video, like he sat in a little theater for 10 minutes, and it was like her, Sheryl Crow, Springsteen's wife. It might have been Joan Jett. It was like 5 women, like all playing guitar together. It was super cool to watch. It was just very cool.
What did Darlene Love sing?
Darlene Love is most famous for the Baby Come Home for Christmas.
Right.
And
she was in the Lethal Weapon movies.
She did the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation theme.
So we played her before on our show.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Classic. I keep getting Melly Mel in my head. Play something from Melly Mel.
Grandmaster Melly Mel. White Lines.
Yeah.
Vision, dreams of passion. And all the while I think of you. A very strange reaction. The more I see, the more I do.
Out on bail, out of jail, and that's the way it goes.
That's so much better than Duran Duran's cover of that song.
Oh, yeah. But he's on the Duran Duran cover also. They added him. What nice guys.
All right, a couple more. Oh, this is a good group. Joey Ramone, Lou Reed, David Ruffin, Run DMC, and Gil Scott-Heron.
Joey Ramone.
I love that Joey Ramone is on this.
It's just the Ramones dynamic. Joey Ramone was this Democrat, and Johnny Ramone was this Republican, and they just went at it all the time, And Joey would do anything just to piss Johnny off.
The one line he sings is like he mentions like he's trashing Ronald Reagan too. It's just awesome. It's just out of all the artists that were on this, he was the one I love the most that he's on here.
We're talking about Louis Armstrong. Why don't we play his version of Wonderful World?
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue.
I love that.
Fucking love it, dude. It brings a tear to my eye every time I hear it.
They were such a great band. And playing all this different music, man, it is so different. And it makes it so awesome to help to understand how all these dudes came together to do this.
Dude. Lou Reed. How the fuck do you get Lou Reed to come out? And like, what do they say? Oh, we got Springsteen and Dylan coming. So Lou Reed's like, oh, I gotta show up.
Another band we haven't talked a lot about, the Velvet
Underground. Oh, they are the original alternative band.
Sure. Here's a little bit of Heroin by Velvet Underground.
Nice.
I love this song.
This land to that on a sailor's suit and cap. Away from the big city where a man cannot be free of all of the evils of this town and of himself and those around. Oh, and I guess that I just don't know.
So great. Lou is very political. He's very, he'd come out for like whatever rights that was going on that week in New York. He'd always show his face.
I was listening to that and I'm like, man, I could draw a line from that to like so much of that early 90s, like the Pixies and like that, whatever they call it, shoegazer music.
And how that turned into Nirvana.
Yeah, like a direct line. Yeah.
Amazing.
Another band that didn't get a ton of commercial success. I mean, that one, Walk on the Wild Side was a big hit, but
they were
otherwise,
they were Andy Warhol's project.
Yeah,
it was like his music project that he did. So they were like, you had Nico in that band that was a model. She couldn't sing worth a shit,
right?
But she was there. She was part of the band.
Another dude that we have never talked about on the show who's on this is Gil Scott-Heron. And man, when I was a English major in college, I friggin' loved him because he was like the first like spoken word dude to speak over like jazz music. And you could really make an argument that he was like hip hop decades before hip hop.
Can we hear something?
Yeah, dude, the revolution will not be televised.
You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised.
Dude, that's Chuck D all over the place.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Yes. When I was in college studying English, the thing I started really focusing on at one point, I really enjoyed reading really angry black artists in like the 60s, like that real hardcore, like black, because there was so much like energy and passion in it. And being a music guy, I just really enjoyed Gil Scott-Heron.
Right on.
Even though I'm a white dude from suburban New Jersey, but
you're allowed to like it, Bruce.
Yeah,
you're allowed.
I owned a couple Gil Scott-Heron albums at one point in my life. So
right on, man.
The next group: Springsteen, Bobby Womack, Pete Townsend, Little Richard, Ron Carter, Ronnie Wood, the big man Clarence Clemens, Miles fucking Davis, and Ringo Starr.
You motherfuckers! You want me to do what? White motherfuckers out here.
It's my two favorite. Every time I hear Miles Davis, I think of you going, you motherfuckers. And every time I hear Joe Pesci, I think of you motherfucker, you.
You motherfucker, you. Funny how? How the fuck am I funny?
Shit, where do you start with that?
Just pick one. Did Clarence ever do anything solo?
He did. Clarence Clemens had this song, You're a Friend of Mine, that was kind of popular.
I would probably recognize it.
Striking out, what can mean? I'm gonna stand right by your side through thick or thin.
Ain't no doubt, gonna win. A walk through hell ain't bad compared to where we've been.
Oh, you can depend on me.
Over and over, over and over.
I remember that.
Yeah. He died in 2011. He died.
Oh my God,
long
at my
ago.
birthday party. He died at my
Yes.
birthday party.
I know. You announced it over the PA system, and I sat on the curb outside of McCusker's and started crying.
Oh, I was crying because I was turning, what was I, 35? That was my 35th.
And the one bathroom at McCusker's was clogged up.
Oh, dude, that was a fucking nightmare. If you're ever going to have a party for me, please don't have it at the bar. Bruce, if you're ever going to throw a surprise party, throw it at Rob's house for me.
I went home that night and I listened to the sax solo from Jungle Land like 20 times in a row. I just put headphones on and just played it over and over and over.
Pete Townsend, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Pete Townsend and not Little Richard. I'm sorry, Keith Richards. I said Little Richards.
You did say Little Richard. I
did.
could see him there. I could see him being there.
Yeah. He was not there because I looked it up in my notes today. I was like, Little Richard? I'm like, no, I meant Keith Richards. So Louis Armstrong wasn't it? We Are the World.
We're
and
all
Little
over the
Richard
place
was
today.
not like, ooh, imagine him there like apartheid. Woo!
Keith Richards put some good solo stuff out.
Yeah, dude. Pete Townsend does too. Let's play a little Keith Richards. I like Keith Richards stuff. I like some of the songs he sings on some Stones albums over the years.
Yeah, Happy and TNA.
Yeah.
Drift Away.
I really like. I'll play it because it's my show. He sings a song on Bridges to Babylon that I really like.
What's it called?
You Don't Have to Mean It.
All right.
You just gotta say it anyway. I just need to hear those words for me. Baby, 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 don't have to say too much. Babe, I wouldn't even touch it anyway. I just wanna hear you say to me, sweet love. Baby, baby, it's dripping from your lips. Oh yeah, sweet side.
I play the whole song.
Very like specials. Very
very reggae.
Trumpet. Very
Yeah.
very Rastafarian.
That's a great album. I love Bridges to Babylon.
You're the only one, pal.
There's some good songs. What else is on that album?
I
There's
don't
some
know. Love is strong.
Yeah, that's not a bad tune. Say to Me is a good song. There's a couple good tunes on there. I know they're over the creative peak by that point, but
Has anybody seen my baby?
yeah, he raps a little bit.
The Dust Brothers or the Chemical Brothers did that album.
Yeah, I think the Dust Brothers.
Yeah.
Pete Townsend's on there. Pete Townsend's a little bit of a shitbag.
I think he is. I think he's full of shit.
He's gotten some like child porn.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's full of shit.
Shitbag of the week.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't even want to look it up while I'm sitting here because I'm using my work laptop and I don't want to get called to HR tomorrow.
He's kind of an asshole too. So
yeah, he was supposed to do an interview with like him and Daltrey were supposed to do an interview with Stern one time, and they were like Howard was like they were in like the waiting area to come into the get dialed in, and Howard was talking about like, oh, he's got all these accusations against him with child porn, and as soon as they came in, Pete Townsend was like basically like, you're a jerk off for even I won't do this. Like totally told Howard off, and then just like dropped off the phone, and Daltrey was like, well, that was awkward, and then just tried to continue the interview. I think Howard was like, I'm not going to ask him about all this, but it's really weird that he was because he was like, I'm doing research to turn him into the police or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, I could see like Tommy. There was a lot of weird shit going on in Tommy, you know, and maybe that came off from his life, you know. Maybe he was abused as a kid. You know, some of the music addresses that, their songs.
Yeah. Doesn't excuse looking at
No.
kiddie porn on the internet, but
Every time I go to see The Who, I'm like, yeah, Pete Townsend's a shitbag.
it's hard to it's hard to separate the two sometimes with certain, especially when it's shit like that. Like we've talked about Michael Jackson before, and I can't square up his creativity against what he did. It just my head spins out. But anyway, Miles. Let's play some Miles because we don't get a chance to play a lot of Miles.
Ever.
How about we'll play a little bit of So What, motherfucker?
All right.
Gonna jazz up a salad.
He's a motherfucker, dude.
Is he like the original motherfucker?
Yes. There was a lot of players before him, but nobody played like him. Like you got it when you listen to him, you say motherfucker. Like that's what a mother. Yes,
that's what a motherfucker is, right? Because you taught me that saying.
Yeah, when you hear something, guy like over your head and between your ears and fucking like, man, this guy's a motherfucker.
I would love to do a show. I don't know how we could do it and keep it PG of just like our top 10 motherfuckers in music.
Oh, we come up that easy.
Yeah, it would be fun. We just got to figure a way to do it in a way that's not just like flagged for vulgarity all over the place. But
number one be Jamerson. Jamerson would be number one.
James Brown was a motherfucker. Janis was a motherfucker.
Motherfuckers, all colors, all size, all sexual, all everything.
We haven't done like a top 6 in a while. We'll put that in the Rolodex.
That would be a good one. Top motherfuckers.
All time mother, like the Mount fucking the Mount motherfucking Rushmore of motherfuckers or something like that. It would be sorry kids, don't listen to this one. But Miles too, man. A show on Miles would be interesting as well, man, because he was a complicated dude.
We tried to talk a little bit about him in our jazz episode, but there's just a show on him would be so fucking fabulous, man. He was a complicated guy.
He really was, and
very complicated.
I looked up why he sounded like that. He had a polyp on his larynx, and he had surgery from that made him talk like that. No,
trademark is I can't talk about Miles Davis without doing the voice, motherfucker.
Right. Yeah.
What key you playing, motherfucker?
And he's a big reason why this project went from a song to an album. And I've got a couple of notes on that, but I got a couple more guys that played in this. And Steve Jordan, he's replaced Charlie Watts in the Stones right now. Herbie Hancock, which they called in once they realized that Miles Davis was actually wanted to play in this band. And the dude from Midnight Oil, whose name is, I keep joking calling him the dude from Midnight Oil, Peter Garrett.
He's great.
We've talked about him before because he was in Parliament, or a super political dude. And Midnight Oil was a really political band.
Could we play something from the Oil? Great song.
It's one of the best songs in the 80s.
Yeah. I got some other things to say about Miles Davis and Bono, but I think we should take a little break right now.
Yeah, dude, that sounds great. Let's come back. We got a couple more artists to talk about. Well, you know what? Let's talk about Herbie Hancock. And then that's like the last dude, and then let's take a break.
Okay.
So one more dude I want to talk about is Herbie Hancock, because I don't know if we've really talked about Herbie Hancock that much either.
He was Miles's fucking right hand man in the really important years of Miles, like between fucking 60 into 68.
So Miles, let's get into this real quick. So Miles Davis, he agreed to do this, and I think little Steven was like, "Oh my God, Miles is going to do it." And Miles, he agreed to let people record him doing it. And he was always like, you don't dare videotape Miles. You don't talk to Miles. You don't look at Miles. And he played for 4 minutes. And little Steven just wanted them to cut like a little 20-second clip that they could play. So when he played for that, little Steven was like, we can't not use all of this music that Miles Davis recorded. We got to make an album. So they made a whole nother song around that. And then little Steven started calling in like Herbie Hancock and all these other dudes to cut some material to play elsewhere on the album because Miles was doing it. So Miles was really like the guy that was like, turn this into an album.
Miles is a weird part of his life. He was doing like a lot of like almost like free jazz. You know, like he was playing the red trumpet. He was really rock and roll, like dressing at the time. You know, he was a different kind of Miles than he was early in his career. He was very, very colorful, very outrageous. His music was very outrageous at that time.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about like Miles Davis's career. I have a couple of his albums and shit like that, but I'm not a jazz guy like you are.
I could talk about Miles days long.
All right, right on. Well, put it on the list. Here's a little bit of Cantaloupe Island from Herbie Hancock. You probably heard this sampled in some other 90s music.
You got to play the other Herbie Hancock song that everybody knows.
Watermelon Man?
No.
What?
No.
I don't know what that is.
It was a classic hip hop song. It should be like right on his fucking top songs.
Rocket?
Yep.
But that's interesting because that's so different than that other song he played, right? It was
That's what he was doing when this album came out, No Sun, you know? That's what was really popular, that song for him at the time. I think that song made him a big household name instead of a jazz thing. You know, I could see a lot of hip hop guys looking at that Rocket and being like, that's the shit right there.
Yeah, that song was huge too. It won like 5 MTV Video Music Awards and had a Grammy, and it was a big deal.
Yeah. That's why he was there. He was a star himself at that point.
Yeah, they called him in once Miles was in. They were like, shit, get the whole group together. It's almost like the Elvis comeback special. They were like, get the whole band back together. Call them in. Get everybody again.
Yeah.
All right, dude, why don't we take a little break? Let's come back and let's play some of the songs from the Sun City album. And I got a little bit more about how this all came around. We got some shit about Little Steven and Paul Simon fighting it out over what it means to do music in South Africa. And I got a ton of music news. I have so many second thoughts. And we'll send a song to the electric chair.
All right, now stick around.
We'll be back. Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by McCusker's Tavern at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia. There's something for everyone on the beer list and the jukebox at McCusker's. It's minutes from the sports stadiums in Philly, making it a great place to stop by for a few drinks before or after a concert or a game. Come see for yourself why everyone from Philadelphia Magazine to Playboy has called it one of the best dive bars in the city. Visit them at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia or on Facebook. That's McCusker's Tavern. right, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. That was Bruce Springsteen covering "Trapped" by Jimmy Cliff, both of whom
Shit,
are.
I never heard that, dude.
Have you? You've never heard that?
No.
Oh my god, dude, that is one of my favorite covers. Springsteen does so many covers, and that is one of my favorites.
I had never heard that.
Dude, that's on the Essential Bruce Springsteen, like the triple greatest hits that came out. It's on there.
The box set thing. Oh no, the Essential, right on.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, I never knew that song, bro.
Yeah, I've heard him play that. I know the Warden loved that song a lot too. I love how that just the music drives up and it just snaps right back into the quiet beat.
You know, when they made the Sun video, they were all production companies out there, all these cameras, everybody's moving around, and everybody's waiting for Springsteen to show up. Like, oh, he's going to show up with this big entourage. He comes walking around the corner. Like, he took the subway. He's like this huge star. He's just walking the streets of New York City, and then all of a sudden he just appears, and everybody's like, holy shit, there's Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, that's like he's at the top of his game at this, right? This is where he's up there with like Prince and Madonna, and this is Born to Run Springsteen. Or not Born to Run, Born in the USA Springsteen. Yeah.
But like, dude, like none of those, nobody does more than Bruce, like for the people.
Sure. He's always been a charity guy, and it's cool that he was all about this and that he did We Are the World. And it's really cool. So the song Sun City, I think that's most of the artists that were on it, and there's a bunch of other guys, but
there's like celebrities there and shit, actors. Yeah.
But the song comes out that they write, and the song was like, it was okay. It wasn't like an enormous hit. It went to 38 in the US. It went to 21 in the UK. It was banned in South Africa, of course. But they did end up making a full album. I don't know, man. The Sun City song's not that. It's not real good.
Times. It's the times, though. You know, it's very beatbox. It's very 80s. It was, the times.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Especially like for it being like a South African thing that the song was for. I thought it really adopted the culture of like hip hop for this song.
Listening to it now, it's just kind of like, yeah, okay. It's just not, 80s hip hop lyrics weren't the rhymes are a lot more simple than they were now. Yeah. And, but it was kind of cool that the refrain is, I ain't going to play Sun City, because all these guys are like, I don't care how much money you paid. And they all had to agree, if you're going to do this, you have to sign something saying, I'm not playing at this venue.
Yeah.
Where guys like Sinatra were paid $2 million to go play.
Frank had no idea. He probably didn't even give a fuck.
Because Sinatra was also like all this shit with Sammy Davis Jr. and what a stand he took. And yeah, he was like a civil rights dude.
And Quincy Jones was his arranger early in his career.
Right.
Or like when Frank was really taking off.
Right. In like the 40s.
Yeah. Frank was Frank. He was a street guy at the end of the day.
Yeah, the song's worth, you go back, you listen to it. It's worth it. There's some other songs on here that I thought were interesting. There's Silver and Gold on the album.
You too?
Which is Bono.
What a great song that is.
It's Bono and Keith Richards.
Oh, really? Because it's on the soundtrack of Rattle and Hum. And it's a live version. And he actually does a little speech about Little Steven in the version. It's pretty cool.
So that makes sense, because I have the album pulled up on Spotify right now, and Silver and Gold's got like 1.6 million streams, and everything else is like Sun City's got 300,000, and everything else is like 5,000. So,
can I hear Silver and Gold?
Of course.
Oh, in a tin can town, tin can town. No stars in the black night, look like the sky fall down. No sun in the daylight, look like a chain to the ground, chain to the ground.
That's fucking great. I never heard that version of the Keith Richards playing on that. That's fucking solid.
Yeah, it's Keith and Ronnie Wood are playing on it.
Sounds like it. Now play the version from Rattle and Hump. It has so much more power.
Back to the ceiling, broken nose to the floor. I scream and the silence is calling.
You should let it go to where he talks about little Steven.
Okay.
This song was written in a hotel room in New York City. Around about the time a friend of ours, little Steven, was putting together a record of Artists Against Apartheid. It's a song written about a man in a shanty town outside of Johannesburg. A man who's sick, looking down the barrel of white South Africa. A man who is at the point where he is ready to take up arms against his oppressor. A man who is lost.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I
we'll
love
split,
Rattle and Hum. Rattle and Hum is so fucking good, dude.
we'll split that up into two clips for the show because I think it's important to hear him talking about that. And it's interesting. It's really interesting to hear the original version because that sounds like a Stone song with Bono singing.
Oh, yeah.
It's so obviously Keith Richards and Ronnie. And that version we just played of Rattle Hum is so, that's the edge. It's so, it's so obvious.
Yeah, with the bass on it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Really cool.
You know, there was a lot of great stuff in Rattle and Hum that didn't make the movie. Like Springsteen playing it in Philadelphia at JFK Stadium. When Springsteen showed up, that was supposed to be in the movie, and they cut it out.
Interesting. A couple other songs that were interesting on here. So there's a song on the Sun City album called No More Apartheid, and Peter Gabriel sings on it. And it was interesting because Peter Gabriel's on the Sun City song, and they were just playing all the recordings, and he started doing this kind of like African chant, and they recorded it. They were like, "Oh, we got to build a song around this."
Oh.
It sounds a little bit of like that Biko song that we played at the beginning, but here's 30 seconds of that. It's kind of that for like 5 minutes, but it's cool. It's interesting.
It is good. It is good.
You know, Let Me See Your ID is a song on there. That's something that Gil Scott-Heron does his spoken word over.
TV the other night, and who should appear but, like Walter Concrete at the Blues. It occurred to me how much of our vocabulary we seem to get from TV nowadays, calling things whatever they call them, even if it's correct. The first thing that occurred to me was like third world, like you ask somebody from here, like, where's the third world? They might say, oh yeah, man, I know, it's a disco. You go about 3 blocks and take a left.
Yeah, it's Miles.
Yo, fucking right it is. I heard that all the way in there.
Miles and Gil Scott-Heron together is just, that's super cool. The Struggle Continues. That's another song Miles Davis plays on. He sings on one of these songs, or he talks on one of these. I didn't flag where it was. Yeah. They made a documentary out of this, the filming of this, and it's on YouTube, and I watched it, and there was some point that Miles Davis was like, he wasn't singing, but he was like rapping or speaking, and I was like, oh my God. And I didn't write down exactly what song it was.
That's cool. Well, that's something to look for.
Yeah, it's interesting to see on YouTube because they shot a music video of the song in like
Yeah.
New York City.
Yeah.
They're like, it can't look like a party. They're like, because it would be really shitty if it's a bunch of dudes being like, hey, we're over here in America. We're having a party about like the poor people in Africa. So they were very like, you had to be very toned down. As you said, like Springsteen showed up on like the subway.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at that video, it's very Grady. It's like Brooklyn or the Bronx, and they're walking through the streets. You know, it's very gritty.
Yeah. It's like very Velvet Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Hell.
Very New York City. Yeah.
So I think so the album kind of came out, and did it change everything? I don't know, man. Like apartheid ended in like 94. South Africa is still not a really nice place to live. They have one of the highest murder rates in the world. Steve. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, for what the song did, it did work. It shut down the casino. It fucking did everything that it was supposed to do. Little Steven got acknowledged for it. He got some kind of award. No, it was giving back. We always talk about that.
And we say like we like rooting for good people and in rock and roll. The casino is still there. It's like I'm looking at it right now. You can still book a trip to South Africa and you can go stay there. The apartheid government is obviously ended. What I also thought was interesting, the only person I could find, because whenever there's any one of these things, I love looking up who was invited, who didn't go. And the only person I could find was Frank Zappa. Zappa was like, I'm not doing your meaningless bullshit record to Little Steven. And
wow.
So he's like, it's not going to change anything. I'm out.
Well, he had his own thing. He went after the PMRC. We should do a show about that, about how he went to Congress and shit.
I don't know anything about Frank. I know who he is, but I don't know his music. I don't know shit about him. I'd love to do a show about him and learn more.
His music is really weird. There's like phases you have to go through with Frank Zappa, like to start off with. Or you got to start with this album because this album is a fucking crossword puzzle.
Yeah, I always remember like working in the music store and there'd be like 30 different albums in the Frank Zappa bin.
You know what's sad? All those are out of print.
Are they really?
Yeah, even a lot of them aren't on Spotify and shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Little Steven said he got a ton of death threats after he made the album, of course. And there was a clip in the documentary where he went on like Donahue with the guy that owned Sun City, and they got like a big argument. It was super cool. It's worth checking out. Where the guy's like, "Whoa, we're not that racist," and Little Steven's like, "You're full of shit, man." Just
Little Steven's from like the fucking streets, man. You get more from the fucking streets than he does. He's like, I see your bullshit, man. I can see this bullshit from another country.
You know what, too, man? I don't know where else to put it in my notes. I'll just say it here. He has a show or a channel on Sirius XM, like Little Steven's Underground Garage.
So awesome.
Right? It is like going into a museum. It is like a history lesson in rock and roll, and I learned so much by listening to him. It's so cool to listen to because he finds all this shit he digs up from the 50s and 60s.
He's like a encyclopedia of music.
Yeah.
More than we are. I mean, he's like an ambassador of music, of everything. You know, he's just not a rock and roll guy, obviously, you know. And after he did this record, he did a lot of cause albums. Like he did something for the Native Americans. He did a few other projects for other awareness. So he really became like an activist in his solo career. You know, it's not like he was like singing baseball songs and shit. He was trying to change shit.
Yeah, it's cool. And then he came back with the E Street Band when they reunited in the late 90s, and he's been, you know, he's been with them ever since. And he's kind of like the Springsteen's like sideman ever since Clarence Clemens died.
Yeah. I mean, I think he always had a character in the band, like Little Steven. He was always sharp. His harmonies are fucking great. And he arranged the horns in 10th Avenue Freeze Out, you know, just by acapelloing it to the guys.
Yep.
He's a hell of a musician, and they don't make him like him anymore.
One other thing I uncovered doing my notes on this, and I messaged you about it, was Little Steven versus Paul Simon.
Ooh.
So 1986, a year after this comes out, Paul Simon released his album Graceland, which to me, if we had to do a show on albums that are absolute 10s from front to back, Graceland to me would be on that.
Yes.
I absolutely love that album, but the album has incredibly heavy South African influences on it, and it's got a lot of world music, and
I think that's what makes it famous.
Yeah, because it introduced us to all kinds of. Maybe let's play a little bit of it.
Play Soles of Her Shoes, Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, man.
People say she's crazy, she got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of your shoes.
Great fucking song, dude.
Dude, that my father passed away 6 years ago, and he used to play that in his car all the time. So every time I think of it, I just immediately think of him.
You took the words out of my mouth. It takes me back.
Yeah.
It's definitely memories with that song.
It is such a perfect album, but it was controversial at the time, because he went to South Africa and he broke this, I mentioned this cultural boycott at the time, where the United Nations was like, don't work with anybody there. Don't encourage them. And he was like, no, I'm going to go. And he recorded this with all these like South African musicians. And it was controversial because the Artists Against Apartheid, they spoke out and they were like, dude, what are you doing, man? And I have a quote from Little Steven. He said he was making great music at the time, but the priority wasn't about spreading South African music around the world. The priority should have been about freeing South Africa from slavery. And Paul Simon was also not a big supporter of Nelson Mandela. He thought Nelson Mandela was like a communist. So he was rather vocal about like all the political change that happened in the 90s. And Little Steven was at the opposite end. And they had this big feud over it. And they said they're like friends with each other. But they're like, no, both of them were like, dude, you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sounded like more like Paul Simon was exploiting it.
That's what Little Steven would argue. And Paul Simon would probably tell you that he's trying to introduce the world to it. Because to me, that album was the first time I ever heard music from like another country.
Yeah, I remember
other
seeing
than like Bob Marley.
I remember he played like fucking Central Park, Paul Simon, and he brought out the singing group and they sang the fucking that's Diamonds on the Sole of My Shoe. Yeah.
Yes. I thought it was interesting because that is one of my favorite albums of all time. And to hear that Little Steven has a completely different opinion. And he said, like, we're still friends now. And he's like, and we still go to parties and they'll be like, he'll argue about it.
It's a great sounding record. It's a beautiful record. The sound of South Africa is beautiful, but it's fucked up too.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's messy to hear all that different shit, but it's still a great fucking album, dude.
It's a classic, like you said. It's got to be somewhere in the top 20 best albums of Rolling Stone of all time, dude.
It's definitely one of my favorites. Is that it? I think that's it.
Yeah, man, that was South Africa, Apartheid, Little Steven.
All right, music news. I've got 4 stories all about artists canceling tours. So, number 1, Aerosmith.
Oh, I'm so sad.
Aerosmith canceled all of their remaining tour dates from their farewell tour. They announced that they're retiring from performing live. The legendary band postponed their farewell tour last September after 3 shows because Steven Tyler had a fractured larynx and damaged vocal cords. And the band now said like he can't sing anymore. He can't do it. So
he's 70 something years old, man. They did it maybe too long. I had tickets to go see them on this farewell show, and I'm pretty sad that it's not going to happen. But, you know, whatever. If it's going to be bad, at least they're bowing out and not having background tracks playing like Motley Crue does and shit.
Yeah, you said you saw them before. I've never seen them. You said you saw them before, and a couple times they weren't very good.
The last time I went to one of the shows in last September before they canceled it, and the sound system sounded like shit. Everything was the stage was more of a priority than the sound system was. You know, it sounded like shit, but it looked great.
That's a bummer, man. I had tickets to go see them. I wanted to see them before they retired, but I'm not going to get the chance. And again,
dude, I saw them many times. Many times they were fucking brilliant, fucking legendary. But I'd rather remember them than have some bad fucking rip-off one more time thing.
I think they're one of the greatest American rock and roll bands ever. So
fuck yeah.
I do respect that they were like, okay, we can't do it. We're going to pull the plug instead of trying, like you said. But another band that canceled their remaining tour is the Zombies. So the Zombies, who had hits with She's Not There, Time of the Season, they announced that they're no longer touring because their keyboardist Rod Argent suffered a stroke. The band had been playing a U.S. tour this fall. If you don't know who the Zombies are, here's a little bit of them.
Well, no one told me about her, the way she lied. Well, no one told me about her, how many people cried. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there.
Everybody sounded like the Beatles back then, dude.
Yeah, they were great, though. So they're out. Next up to cancel, Journey. Journey canceled their 50th anniversary tour in the UK
saw
and
them.
Ireland.
I just fucking saw them like 2 weeks ago.
So they pulled the plug because they're all suing each other. The band had 11 dates booked in the UK and Ireland for their 50th anniversary tour. They were going on the road with Cheap Trick, and they pulled the tour because the keyboardist and rhythm guitarist Jonathan Cain is suing Neil Schon over how much money the band was spending on the road in the United States.
Rock and roll has a price tag.
When the money gets involved, dude, it's so many of these bands breaking up. It goes back to money.
It's a shame.
And the last artist that I had, the fourth one that canceled, was the Fugees. So the Fugees canceled their 2024 tour 3 days before it was supposed to start. Lauryn Hill was supposed to go on tour to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill album, and the Fugees were going to be co-headlining. The 21-day tour was canceled without any explanation. Ticket holders just got an email saying your event has been canceled and a refund is coming soon.
That's a shame.
I mean, she's got some issues.
I don't care about her. I care about Wyclef.
Yes.
You know?
Right. And Wyclef and Praz. You know, yeah, Wyclef is really freaking talented too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So that was it, man. I was kind of a drag that all these different artists are canceling. Again, we say it every episode. If there's somebody you want to go see him because you may never get the chance again.
Never. You have to, dude. Don't worry about the money. Just fucking go.
And second thoughts, dude. We got so much friggin' feedback on. I took the clip when we talked about AI in music last episode. I put it on YouTube, and it generated so much conversation. Some wackadoodles, but some people on our side. My 2 cents too said technically a human programmed the computer to think, so it still has a little bit of a human bias. It will never match human creativity spliced with human emotion and or history. I agree. AI created music will never agree with music.
Yeah.
Wolfgang Lester said, it's to the point here on YouTube that I won't even click on recently uploaded videos unless I'm sure it's real. And it really sucks because I used to upload real music here. We live in a strange time, my friends, and it's really aggravating. I also make different forms of art, and I gleefully have used AI for a year to make images and didn't really understand what the fuss about. Then I started making music. I now wholeheartedly understand. Again, I agree. Music is probably going into a dark direction with AI.
Oh, it's going to be scary. Next 10 years are going to be scary.
Von Claude 123 said, I've definitely spotted a few AI artists on YouTube, or I've heard a few, just something about them that I can tell. We had Mr. ROTD say, Frowning Crab Cake is my favorite AI punk band. To which a wackadoodle named Espresso Girl 68 said, on this person's channel, you are not allowed to like AI punk bands. You are going to be sent to a re-education camp for reassimilation.
Okay.
So, fuck her.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Have another cappuccino.
Right. So I said, thanks for commenting. We say time and time again on the show that the best thing about music is that you like what you like, and there's something for everybody. So we won't be sending you off to the rock and roll gulag. That said, there's hardly anything punk about using a computer to generate auto-tuned music that will generate the most likes. And if you don't understand the gap between ChatGPT and, say, Darby Crash, then I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
So
Darby's the man.
Yeah. And
he wasn't talented at all.
No. Right. And we got a whole bunch of other, like, AI is going to take over the world, and it's going to make life easier, and women aren't going to be exposed by porn anymore because it'll be AI generated. Blah, 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 blah.
Whatever.
The electric chair, dude, you got something?
You said we had something, Duran Duran White Lines.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I really personally don't mind this because I like Duran Duran, but I hear what you're saying.
I got nowhere else to put this, but I do have it up on my screen that I did message you this week that I was thinking of a new theme for the Warden. It was like, oh, no
Warden! Wait until we get him to Vegas, brother.
Yes, so we are going to Vegas in late January, early February. And the Warden's going to be a good time. So,
he's doing pretty well with the Walmart driving thing.
Yeah, he in Arkansas this week. I saw him videos. He was backing in between some cones and some other shit. No. Anyway, I'll put that on the playlist. I heard that in my car, and I just was driving around going, I'm the Warden. My hands are off the steering wheel. Anyway.
See the shit that I come up with.
I love the whistle on that, too. It's like, wee!
Wee!
We're going to leave all this in here, too. The electric chair, man. Yeah, dude, I said, why don't we kill White Lions by Duran Duran? Because it's just...
It's nowhere near as cool as the original.
No. Remember when this album came out? I was working in the music store when this came out. And,
it's not that bad. It's all the B-sides, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. It's I don't know.
It's very white bread.
Yeah. It's a little too like dance. I mean, that's what are you going to expect from Duran Duran? But
yeah. But the attempt,
yeah, those early hip hop songs were so like cutting edge, and this doesn't feel edgy to me at all.
Yeah, but Simon Le Bon doesn't do it like Melly Mel.
No, this is like a dance club.
English dance club.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not I guess it's not a terrible song, but when you compare it to the original, I just look at it again.
It's very not much to it.
Yeah, it's very white. It's very British. It's very that British mod kind of shit.
It sounds like something the Spice Girls would do.
Yeah, right. They could do it too. It's fuck out of here at this.
We sentence you to death.
Duran Duran wrote a lot of cool. Whoop. No, it's coming back from the dead. Duran Duran wrote a lot of cool poppy songs in the 80s, but that's just not a. Yeah.
Well, they tried. They had a hit. They had a hit with it.
They did it.
They
But
played it when I went and saw them.
yeah, I'd rather hear the original, but
I would too.
that'll do it for episode 86. If you want to hear more of the entire Sun City album, we'll put a link to it down in the show notes. It's definitely worth listening to. Where else you can hear Miles Davis and Joey Ramone on the same album. And be sure to go check out the show notes for our links to our website, www.prisonersofrockandroll.com, our email address at show@prisonersofrockandroll.com. There's links to our Facebook and our Twitter accounts, and there's a map to the legendary McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia. If you're lucky, you could walk in there and see Ryan behind the bar. If you're really lucky, you could see the warden sitting on the other side of the bar. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
This was awesome, dude. I learned a lot, and it was really cool to hear about people trying to use music to make a difference.
We're here to educate and entertain, my friends.
I absolutely learned something, so.
All right. Well, keep on rocking.
Peace out.
I'm just a prisoner!